Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I would like to warmly greet you, all of you. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here, because I think it is very important and human-like problem which we are jointly trying to investigate and take steps to solve it. I would first of all like to express my deep gratitude to Michael Minch, Bakatbek Abduraisaev, Cholpon, for initiating this good and very important event. They became friends to me, and I hope we'll work further on this very important problem of mutual interest and sustainable development of our countries, mountain countries, which are very similar. When I came from the plane, I saw that mountains, lake, and just this picturesque valley is just 90% the same as in my country, especially in my region, Issyk-Kul region of Kyrgyzstan. Secondly, before starting my official presentation, I would like to express deep gratitude to Daniel Butler and Rusty Butler for their coming here, for support of this event, and our cooperation between Utah and Kyrgyzstan. And I was informed that today you have 50th anniversary of your wedding. I would like sincerely congratulate with this great date, and it is really symbolizes the sustainable development in your country. I wish all the best to you. Live 50 years more. Now passing to our agenda. First of all, I would like to inform that it was the initiative of Kyrgyzstan in 1998 when the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted the resolution 53/24 on the proclamation of 2002 as the International Year of Mountains, and holding in Bishkek Global Mountains Summit as a central event of this year. One of the outcomes of the International Year of Mountains was the adoption of the resolution, which decided to proclaim 11th of December since 2003 as an International Mountain Day. You know well, and I know that Utah Valley University already 3 years celebrated this date. But I would like to draw your attention to the fact that this year we have 10th anniversary of proclamation of the International Mountain Day, and I hope we'll jointly celebrate it on the 11th of December. As you know, mountains cover 24% of the territory. Of the Earth surface, and mountains are the home for more than 7 million people, or the 12% of the whole population in 120 countries. United Nations also in the past decade adopted several resolutions. You can see it, some of them, which are the most important. And the last resolution, 66/205, which was adopted on the 21st of December 2011, entitled Sustainable Mountain Development, includes a wide range of issues related to sustainable development in the area of food security, water resources, environment, biodiversity, tourism, which is common to our countries, education, financing, mountain development, and cooperation within states within the framework of international conventions which were adopted by the United Nations. And I should mention that point 41 of the resolution of the United Nations General Assembly requested UN General Assembly to make a report on the 68th session of United Nations General Assembly this year. But it should be noted that 10 years after the celebration of the International Year of Mountains and the adoption of the Bishkek Mountain Platform, many problems still remain unsolved. Most of mountain countries and the environment are still in a vulnerable position due to the increase in demand for water supply, other natural resources, the increasing outflow and migration of the population, disproportionate number of conflicts, pressure from industry, mining, and agriculture. Today, Kyrgyzstan and as well as other countries of the world are facing several problems preventing sustainable development. First of all, the global economic crisis with the rapid rise in food prices and global climate change seriously undermined food security, especially in developing countries. The situation became particularly difficult for mountain countries. The second problem is melting of glaciers caused by global climate change, which is also another serious problem to Kyrgyzstan and to all our Central Asian region. Glaciers, as you know, are the main source of fresh water in our region, and according to the evaluation of experts, Kyrgyzstan is estimated at 650 billion cubic meters of ice. But the problem is that due to climate change, within past 30 years, we lost about 20% of our glaciers. And it is expected that due to climate change, within 20-30 years, we can lose more than 40% of glaciers. And of course, as a consequence, Kyrgyzstan and other countries of Central Asia may face a catastrophic shortage of fresh water and negative consequences for regional stability and security. Kyrgyzstan is also subjected to numerous natural disasters, which also poses threats to sustainability of development and has permanent negative impact on the population and economy of the country. Today we have more than 92 objects with radiation and toxic mining waste in Kyrgyzstan, including 36 tailings. And the location, most of them, is in the zone of transboundary waters, also in area of high seismic activity and landslides. And this, of course, is the ecological and security threat to entire Central Asia region. The situation is aggravated that practically every year we have about 200 different emergencies in our region. That's why it is very important to effectively monitor these processes and strengthen the capacity of Kyrgyzstan and other Central Asian countries on disaster management. In this regard, Kyrgyzstan initiated a draft United Nations General Assembly resolution on radiation safety in Central Asia. and we plan to submit it to the 68th session of General Assembly. The other problem is the external debt, which is also a negative factor that affects the speed of transition to sustainable development. Many developing mountain countries found themselves in the most vulnerable situation due to big external debt, which continues to grow. If you see on this table, all countries, mountain countries, are subdivided into groups according to the percentage of area which consists of mountains. First group, it is 0, 10 to 5, it is practically lowland. The first group that starts relating to mountain group countries is 50% of the territory mountains. And you can see that 39 countries are in this group. Second group is 75%, 29 countries. And the last group, which is really the most poorest mountain countries and most vulnerable group of mountain countries, whereas the territory is 75, 100% mountains. If you take Kyrgyzstan, we have 94% of the territory of our country mountains. If you compare with your Utah mountains, we have the highest peak is more than 7,000 meters high. It is approximately twice as longer than your mountains, but very similar to your mountains. And that's why one of the main tasks is to actively use such mechanism of debt reduction as exchange external debt on measures for environmental protection or the so-called green economy, and also Kyrgyzstan proposed to exchange the debt for support, assistance to the economy of Afghanistan. International University in Kyrgyzstan, which is the center of analyzing mountain problems in Central Asian region, proposed certain approach just to make a group of mountain countries which are in the most vulnerable situation. And in this case, they proposed to take into consideration the following indicators. First, the debt, and you can see that the debt in 2000 of these 9 countries is the most big among other mountain countries. It was in 2000, you see figures. For example, Kyrgyzstan, it was $1.8 billion. 2005, it was already 2 billion point 2 approximately billion, and 2010 it's already 3 billion point 7. The same situation in other countries. Big debt. Second criteria is more than 50% of the territory mountains. And the third criteria that these all countries are developing countries. And there is sense to make a group of such countries and to push within international financial institutions such projects as about I have told. Kyrgyzstan also actively participates in the international efforts relating to climate change. We, during last 3-4 years, prepared 2 reports on climate change according to our obligations on the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and Kyoto Protocol. Kyrgyzstan also now is actively working on the preparation of the third report on the climate change, and as well as the national strategy on climate change adaptation. It is in such sectors as water, agriculture, human health, climate emergencies, forest resources, and biodiversity. Today, we are actively working also within the framework of United Nations. One of the main points of our activities within the framework of United Nations is the position of Kyrgyzstan that climate change, it is not only environmental and economic problem, but it's also the problem of security of the countries. This position was presented by our mission on July 20 during the open debate on the Security Council on the topic maintenance of international peace and security, the impact of climate change. The problem of climate change as a security issue was also reflected in the presentation of our former president of the Kyrgyz Republic, Rosa Otunbayeva, at the general debate on the 66th session of the United Nations in 2011. Namely, she underlined that problem of climate change has become a part of security issue and proposed to adopt a concrete action plan which would be binding for all members of the international community. Our delegation also repeatedly raised the issue of climate change in the statements within different committees of the United Nations General Assembly, in particular referring to the items of sustainable development. Our mission noted that global climate change is a serious threat to the future of humanity, and it increasingly impacts ecosystems, water resources, food security, and generates more frequent natural disasters. We also emphasized that the problem of the climate change cannot be solved without the cooperation of countries worldwide. And Kyrgyzstan also, as the majority of UN member states, calls upon the international community to conclude a legally binding instrument to reduce emissions for the period after 2015. Today, this problem is extremely important. I would like also to tell that Kyrgyzstan has also participated in the activities of the group of so-called ambassadors for responsibility on climate change, which included about 20 ambassadors to UN from different countries, the members of UN. The main purpose of this group was to obtain an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice on the question of what are obligations of states under international law to ensure that activities within their jurisdiction or control which allow for emissions of carbon dioxide do not cause or contribute to the damage of another country or countries. To the end, the group elaborated a draft resolution of United Nations General Assembly, which passed preliminary discussion. Although the recommendation of the International Court of Justice has a binding character, has no binding character, but it is very important to draw attention of the international community to this and world leaders to this issue. From this point, it is very important. And as for the latest developments on the global level, I would like to mention that some progress was made at the 18th Conference on the State Parties of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and 8th Conference of State Parties to the Kyoto Protocol, which held recently in November-December 2012 in Qatar. The summit agreed on the future work program on the Kyoto Protocol, in achieving limits for gas emissions, and an important result was the extension of Kyoto Protocol by 2020. And the most important decision was that the countries agreed to conclude a new treaty on global climate change for the period after 2015. During past years from our independence, Kyrgyzstan was also actively working on elaborating on strategic country development documents, such as Comprehensive Development Framework 2001, Strategy for Poverty Reduction 2003, New Economy Policy 2009, and numerous intersectoral development programs. And in 2012, the President, by his decree, established the National Council for Sustainable Development of the Kyrgyz Republic. This council worked out a national strategy for sustainable development of the Kyrgyz Republic for the period 2013-2017. According to this strategy, in the next 5 years, Kyrgyzstan should become a real democratic state with a stable political system, a vibrant economy, and steadily rising incomes. An important feature of this strategy is that the measures to be taken in various policy areas will be linked to the budget process and provided with national financial and other resources. It is planned to implement more than 50 concrete national projects within this strategy. Of course, great attention is paid in the strategy to the environment protection. Today, it is clear that Kyrgyzstan cannot move forward without reviewing the old approaches to economic, political, social, environmental issues, and creating a modern model of sustainable development. That's why today we are elaborating the strategy of so-called green economy, which includes consolidation of such elements as water, food, energy, security, and promotes sustainable growth, which integrates the economic growth and the healthy environment for future generations. If there will be the GDP growth at least 7%, as it plans during this 5-year period, the total GDP will double in terms of per capita. And Kyrgyzstan will closely come to the middle income countries. It is also envisaged that life expectancy will increase from 69 in 2012 to 70 years old by 2017. In addition, during 5 years, more than 350,000 jobs will be created, and the average wage will increase by more than twice. As a consequence, there will be a real reduction in poverty from 37% to 25% by 2017, or by 12%. As you see, problems of climate change are very important for Kyrgyzstan as a member of the international community because of the direct influence of livelihoods of the mountain communities and their future. In these conditions, Kyrgyzstan attaches great importance to the strengthening of international cooperation. I would like to express thanks for advocacy of sustainable development agenda, mountain development agenda in North America since 2006 in response to the invitation of our Kyrgyz site and internationally, namely of the International University in Kyrgyzstan. It was real support to the celebration of the International Year of Mountains and decisions of the Bishkek Global Mountain Summit in 2002. Hosting by Utah Valley University together with International University of Kyrgyzstan 3 international conferences: Women of Mountains in Orem, Utah, 2007, 2011, and 2012 was widely recognized by Mountain Partnership as a significant contribution to the implementation of UN General Assembly resolutions and sustainable mountain development. Further cooperation between Utah and Kyrgyzstan and the Rocky Mountains and Central Asia was achieved on December 2012 when the delegation of Utah University participated in the conference on mountains and climate in Kyrgyzstan. And this seminar entitled Climate Change and Violence, How Heating the Planet Creates Conflict and Death, which was organized under Peace and Justice programs at Utah Valley University, is another important step in the same direction and is a follow-up event allowing to implement decisions on the final resolutions of the International Conference, Mountains and Climates in Kyrgyzstan, which was held in December 12. Finally, I just like to mention 2 or 3 points. Yesterday, I had several meetings with Governor's Office, Trade Center, humanitarian humanitarian assistance of church in the church, and meeting with some other representatives in this country, some honorary consuls in this country, and I came to the conclusion, to several conclusions. First, Utah state has found its way to sustainable mountain development, and there are several signs of successful implementation of the United Nations international documents. Today, Utah takes the 5th place among all the states in economic development. 1. Second, Utah takes the 1st place for the favorable conditions for developing business in the United States. Today, we see that Utah has made much progress in developing green economy. If you have the problem with water supply, here is economically very advantageous approach to the issues of climate change, water supply use, and development, especially the education of the young citizens of your state. And what is important for the students, I always say, just try to learn as much as possible. The final document of the Conference on Sustainable Development, which was held in 2012 in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, the so-called conference Rio +20, presented a final document which is called The Future We Want. In this connection, I would like to say to you that if you know more, you work more. If you work more, you would reach the future you want. That's why try to learn as much as possible. And in this regard, we decided to make certain proposals to Utah Valley University. First of all, from next month, we are ready to accept internship from your university on the problems presenting mutual interest to our countries. I think such problems could be, it is the development of green economy. We can do it as a comparison analysis, taking the development in Kyrgyzstan and Utah Valley, which gives to Kyrgyzstan very good example of best practices. And also the problems of water usage, the problem of education development relating to mountain sustainable development, and some other issues. The next proposal also to make a joint side event relating to the International Day of Mountains, 10th anniversary, on the 11th of December this year. And of course, one of the priorities, I think, it is to initiate a joint project of students' exchange. I think it's very important to learn about each other, to promote those knowledge you have received here, and to exchange the views on the most urgent global issues, which are today are very important and challenging to all of us. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, I'm ready to respond. Please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. My name is Sanjay. Thank you for giving us high quality information and beautiful impact. And so, also, I have two questions for you, Mr. Ambassador. One for how about relationship developing your country's mountain area. For example, how about in Switzerland? Switzerland is a kind of a small country, but those countries covered with mountains. But good thing is that they use it as wisdom to improve their potential and quality with using the mountain area. Thus, Switzerland became a developed country. Many people they want to visit there, which means that economically also they are bringing money to open their mountain area. Many people they want to tour on the Switzerland. And how about in the Japan or in the Israel or in the Denmark? Those Japan and other countries, those countries area covered with about more than 80% covered with mountains, which means that they worry about something how to use those mountain area, which means that if they are concerning about developing natural resources, or if they more concerning about developing tour industry, or if they more interested in bringing another conference or other good things with beautiful nature. What is the main model to your country in this ambassador? This is my first question. And the second question is that to develop your country's mountain area, how about which countries are they making good relationship with your country? With Russia, or with American government, or with Switzerland, or with Norway? Because Norway also, they develop mountains area. And then also, my final question is that, how about explain for us the natural resources or other things with your country's mountain area? So, thank you for giving me beautiful invitation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your question. It's really, to answer this question, I should make some study. but I'll try just to give a brief response. As for Switzerland, you know that the resolution of General Assembly on the International Day, on the International Year of Mountains, and adoption of the Bishkek Mountain Platform brought to the institutionalization of the relations and the cooperation between different mountain groups. And one of the important results of this cooperation was creation of a so-called mountain partnership, the secretariat of which is situated in Italy. And it is basically led by Switzerland and Italy with the assistance of international organization of FAO. It's Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations. And the recent developments on the mountain partnership is the proof of conducting a big conference in Lucerne, Switzerland, which made analysis of the cooperation within the last 10 years and presented the position of mountain countries to the Rio Plus 20. And in the final document of the Rio Plus 20, we could find a special chapter devoted to sustainable mountain development, in which the international community called for activizing cooperation between the countries in different spheres, which I have mentioned. And of course, we also cooperate with Switzerland as a leading country in mountain issues and leading donor countries of different projects, including the projects in my country. As for the second questions, you also asked about good relations. But as I have said, you see this group of countries, basically the most close cooperation in the sustainable mountain development we have in the group number 2 and 3. And as I have mentioned, now we are promoting the idea just to creating a special group of mountain countries in the most vulnerable position. Those who have big debt, developing countries, and have a small budget, GDP, which usually less than 1,500 per capita. As for developing cooperation with Norway, you mentioned Japan and so on, all this cooperation is going on really within the framework of these General Assembly resolutions on sustainable mountain development. During last year, we have at least 3 or 5 side events within General Assembly relating to mountain and climate change, water resources in the mountains, conflict prevention in the mountain areas, and some others. And there's a good example I can just say also about the cooperation between our countries, which is also a very good example of mutually advantageous cooperation. And I invite also you students to take part in the especially research aspect of this cooperation.
So to summarize, because each country has their strengths based on their cultures and the relationships that they've developed with different countries. So as a brief summary, what would you say are the strengths that can lead, because you need a certain mindset to be able to move any initiative forward. So what would you say the strengths are that of the people of the country as far as bringing the whole entire initiative about, and what's the greatest
You mean in my country? The strength is that the people of my country united and gained certain political stability. We now, from authoritative power, came to parliamentary democracy, which is going on. We conducted fair parliamentary elections. We elected on a fairly and transparent basis our president. We formed coalition government. Now the main task is to reach economic stability. And that's why the strategy which I have mentioned, which was adopted by the president in the January of this year, just outlines the main guidelines to reach these goals. And in principle, of course, the weak point is just economic instability. But it is also connected with problems of climate change, world economic crisis, which you can see everywhere, including your country. That's why it is very important just so that we jointly work on the implementation of such goals. Thank you.
Mr. Ambassador, can I intervene for just a second? Because we want to, before your time is up, we want to acknowledge you in a particular sort of way, okay? So once again, let's give our thanks to the ambassador. And we really look forward to continued work with you and your country and a partnership, and are very grateful that you're here. And I'm going to ask Dr. Butler to come forward. And do you need any help?
Oh, no, thank you. Well, we are very delighted to share our golden wedding anniversary day with you. This is very meaningful to us because of all of the nations probably in the world, our hearts are probably more in Kyrgyzstan than anywhere else because of our fondness for your country and its people. And so we're delighted to be able to be here with you. We, on behalf of the university, we have an award here. I'll just get this out. It's says,
diamond. Utah diamond.
Utah diamond. Well, like he wants us to stand over here. It's actually leaded crystal, and it'll set off all the metal detectors at the airport like crazy. So that's why it's so heavy. But it says Ambassador Kydyrov, Permanent Representative of the Kyrgyz Republic to the United Nations, Honorary Professor, March the 22nd, 2013. And with that, signed by our Academic Vice President, is the appropriate documentation to go with that. So we are grateful for your lecture and for your kindness in coming here. Thank you very much.
Oh, Lisa wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I really highly appreciate it. It's unexpected for me. And it's not crystal. For me, it's really Utah diamond. And I'll try to prove my commitment to our joint cooperation in the field of sustainable mountain development for the sake of our people. Thank you very much. And in my turn, you obviously know that we have a certain tradition in Kyrgyzstan to give you some presents, national presents. That's why I would like just to give, obviously you have several, but it is for summer, One more, just.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I would also give you a book. It is about Kyrgyzstan, 10 years.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And can I invite you? It's was also our national handmade. I don't know how it. You can just wear it. Scarf, yes, scarf. Yes, yes, yes.